That's what we're going to talk about tonight on HHL. Plus, there's other things cooking out in the Atlantic. We're just about 3 weeks from the peak of the hurricane season, and we've got activity out there. Overall, though, the basin is becoming a little more unfavorable in the short term, so we'll see if anything does develop. But we'll talk about it. As I mentioned, Erin pulling away from the U.S. and accelerating in that forward speed. Right now, it's cruising at around 20 miles per hour to the north and east. Now, Fernand is next. That'll be our sixth name on the list, and development of that looks likely in the short term here. But don't get all worried. It looks like it won't be threatening the United States, at least over the next 7 days. Here's a look on satellite imagery of Hurricane Erin still holding on to Category 2 strength, 100-mile-per-hour winds. Saffir-Simpson scale, that's a low-end Cat 2. 96 and above is a Category 2, and that's where we are with gusts a little bit higher than that. Its presentation overall looks a little different from 24 hours ago as it's starting to get stretched to the north and east as those upper-level winds are streaming in out of the south and west along a boundary that's dipping on in from the northwest. And that essentially is what saved the U.S. from a landfall of Erin, although fringe effects are certainly felt. And ongoing right now is high tide, the high tide cycle we were expecting to be the greatest. And for the latest on that, we want to send it out to Derek Lytle, who is still live down in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. He's been through 2 high tides already. He's got another one on top of it right now. We'll get down there and see how things are looking with him right now. Derek?
Hey, Tim. Yeah, you can see the flags here flying pretty high in the background. We'll move this way as we have some people out here taking in the waves. You can see they're already, with the high tide coming in, there's some foam on the ground, but, we're in Nag's Head. There is really not a significant risk here, but where we were over near Buxton with the roads now being shut down, I just talked to the hotel operator over at the motel there, and then the gentleman I interviewed that actually got taken down by the significant force of when it crossed the dunes onto the roadway yesterday, that video we've been seeing through our broadcast, and they're telling me that the overwash as we speak is really, really bad down there, and they're starting to see effects to property. They're starting to see that erosion move in. And so, we're not down there to see it physically, but from what they're telling me, 12's taking a pretty bad beating down there. And, when we talked to NC DOT's representative earlier, there's really no time table on when they could possibly get to that road and see how bad the damage is until the water clears up. So that's something that's going to be ongoing as they prepare for even the high tide tomorrow morning and as we push to the weekend. So, like I said, unknown how long that road will be closed, but we'll stay on top of it, Tim, and that's the update I have for you right now.
Well, Derek, we appreciate the update. High tide just came in about an hour ago at 7 o'clock out of Duck Pier, which is what we've been tracking, and it looks like that was the highest tide of the cycle. Things should start to get a little quieter over the next 12 to 24 hours. Appreciate your reporting, Derek. We'll see you back here on the station soon. All right, coming on up after a quick break, folks, we're going to talk about how we are, again, 3 weeks out from the peak of the season, and really what's next. Once Erin moves away and departs and falls apart, what can we be tracking? Fernand is up next, and it could be one of 3 candidates, 3 tropical waves out in the Atlantic that we'll do a full breakdown on after a quick break. Welcome back to Hurricane Hub Live. A recent look or a recent loop here of Hurricane Erin as it's lifting off to the northeast. Category 2 storm. Saffir-Simpson puts it at 100-mile-per-hour winds right now, so lower grade Category 2. Also starting to see the influence of some west to southwest wind shear, really taking a bite out of any convection that's still left on its far southwestern part of the storm system, getting kind of stretched out to the north and east as the upper level winds are streaming in out of the southwest there. But again, not going to be a problem any longer. Well, after the next 12 hours or so, we still got the high tide cycles that are still causing some problems, and of course, rough surf still causing coastal erosion. On visible satellite imagery here, you can also see how that's kind of getting that stretched out look with the cloud deck getting displaced a little bit farther to the north and east. Dislocated from the center of Erin there, and some clearing rapidly taking place with sinking air on the back southwestern portion of the system there. And that's what's going to really bring about a really nice day tomorrow along the eastern seaboard as the storm clears away with sinking air on the tail end of it. Now, Hurricane Hunter aircraft have completed their final mission into the storm after 24 missions. They've been running it about a week. Since last Thursday, they started running recon missions into the storm when it was to the northeast of the Leeward Islands. And this one was the final one there as it's now departing and no longer going to be a big threat to the United States. So still have some pretty decent wave heights out there. Recent measurements of some buoys. We've got one well southwest of the center, 21-foot waves there. Still seeing wind gusts up there, and even got a buoy here, 43-mile-per-hour gust. Just off, it looks to be probably off of Currituck in North Carolina, 16-foot waves there. Up into Virginia off the eastern shore, 14-foot waves there. And then that wave energy is spreading to the north, so getting up to New England, the coast of Maine, Nova Scotia, going to start to see those big waves propagate to the north there, even as the center, again, is not expected to make landfall anywhere, which is very, very unusual. Going back on storm analogs and looking at category of storms that achieved Category 5 status, Erin is one of only one or two on record that haven't made landfall. So really dodged a bullet here, and you got to thank that cold front that's going to bring some autumn air that's helping to divert that away from the U.S. East Coast. So peak wind gusts here in our local area in the Outer Banks in North Carolina and up through southeastern Virginia. Highest wind gust on land that I could find was 53 miles per hour at Hatteras Island earlier today. Oregon Inlet, nearly 50. Nags Head at 47. Oceana is a naval air station in Virginia Beach. That clocked a wind speed of 44. And Norfolk International Airport had a maximum wind speed late morning today of around 40 miles per hour. Now, we still do have a tropical storm warning up for coastal areas from New Jersey south to the Outer Banks. These will be discontinued after 10 o'clock this evening. Tropical storm force conditions are no longer expected through a large portion of the area, as it's now a far distance away that we're not even getting the swath of the tropical storm force winds anywhere close to land, at least at this point in time. Let's take a look at some of the highway cameras out there. This is Highway 12 down through the Outer Banks near Oregon Inlet. Highway 12 looks to be in good shape there. Another one near Etheridge Bridge, Highway 12 also looking okay. Got some sand over the roadways here near the canal zone, also on NC 12, and significant overwash over in Hatteras, Buxton. Seeing the water still coming on there. Again, they just came down off of high tide here about an hour ago in these areas, and significant overwash there. And I mean, check out this one. Hatteras and Frisco completely underwater here. NC-12. The dunes have been significantly damaged with the overwash from the surf there. And again, probably two more high tide cycles that's going to present more of an issue until they can start to clean things up and clear it out and rebuild any sections that were washed away. The forecast track here on Erin moving forward is really inconsequential because it's not going to be impacting anybody. Picking up forward speed, jetting off to the east-northeast, weakening a bit more, a Category 1 here, 85-mile-per-hour winds by tomorrow afternoon. And then as it gains more latitude and moves up, there's the United Kingdom, Ireland. We've got an extra tropical transition that'll go on there. So it'll become a very large system gaining latitude, but it's also going to start to lose its tropical characteristics. Still going to have some very strong winds, 70-mile-per-hour winds. But when it does take that transition, we start to see those stronger winds become evident much farther out from the center. Usually a tropical system, the strongest of the winds are closer to that center, but not the case with an extra tropical cyclone. All right, what else is going on? Well, as of the 8 o'clock advisory from the Hurricane Center, they update their tropical weather outlook, and we've got 3 waves out there. We've got one in the northern parts of the Atlantic, subtropical Atlantic here. Not going to be anything probably that develops. It's actually been downgraded on its development odds. 20% chance down from 30 for both the short and long term. We've got a wave here that's just been designated Invest 90L, but the wave right behind it, 99L. So what happened here is we cycle through 90 to 99 when we tagged Invests. This was tagged first, and this one was just tagged this afternoon, so it now gets the newer designation of 90L. This is the most likely in the short term to become our next named storm, which is Fernand. 60% chance of that in 2 days, 80%, so pretty likely within the next 7. And then right behind it, 99L here is 50-50 odds for both the short and long term. So now that they've been tagged as Invests, we are getting model runs on them. So we've got spaghetti plots. We'll start with the one closest to land, not all that far off from the northern Leeward Islands, causing some squally activity already there, and it is really starting to get its act together and organize. But track here takes it away from land. Once again, a recurve likely with this system. Yeah, are there some outliers? Sure, but the majority of models that have run scenarios on it do take it to the northwest and then due north. Now, nestled in this bunch of spaghetti plots here is Bermuda, so it may not completely avoid any land areas or any populated areas. So Bermuda may have to watch this one. And in terms of an intensity forecast, models do show this becoming our second hurricane. So Fernand will likely be a Category 1 hurricane, maybe stronger if it overperforms. Again, it's moving through the wake of Hurricane Erin here that did zap a lot of energy out of the ocean in this part of the southwest Atlantic. So we'll see how well it can do. But once it moves to the north, it'll be moving out of Erin's path and actually have some warm waters to work with. So it may overperform. Then we've got 99L, again, much farther to the east, about 900 miles to the east of the Leeward Islands now. And this does look to be a projection much farther to the west and more of a low latitude rider here. Pretty good agreement on taking this off to the west. But when I look at the long-range models, most of them just completely shear this apart. Now, one reason for that is that overall the environmental conditions were going to lead to large-scale sinking motion. What happened over the last couple of weeks, we had a favorable phase of what we call the Madden-Julian oscillation, which large-scale rising motion, which aids in storm development and intensification. We're going to head into the unfavorable phase of this, so that might be a main reason why we see this probably not, if it does develop, it'll be in the short term and then fall apart. Now, the residual energy could make it into the Caribbean and be around long enough that it can find some favorable conditions, so we're never going to take our eyes off of it completely. But the other one, 90L, may be the one to watch to become Fernand and maybe Hurricane Fernand in the next couple of days. Now, after a quick break, folks, we're going to come on back and we're going to do some hurricane trivia, Hurricane Hub Live trivia. We'll see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back to Hurricane Hub Live. Yesterday's trivia question. I asked you, when was the last time we had 0 hurricane landfalls in the U.S., a specific season, right? 1977, 99, 2013, or 2015. We go back 12 years ago, 2013 hurricane season. We had 15 named storms, several hurricanes that year, but none, thankfully, made any landfall. Had a couple landfalling tropical storms, but that was about it that season. All right, here's tonight's tropical trivia question for you. Believe it or not, hurricanes have made landfall in Maine. Can you name the last one? Was it Irma, Bob, Matthew, or Irene? As always, I'll have the answer for you tomorrow night on HHL. And a reminder, we are live at 8 p.m. every night, 7 days a week now here, getting closer to the peak of the hurricane season. So we'll see you back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. and again this weekend. Have a great night.